We live in a world that constantly tells us we need others to validate our dreams, to approve our choices, and to hold our hands through every challenge. Society whispers that we're incomplete without constant connection, that solitude is loneliness, and that walking alone means we've failed somehow. But what if I told you that the greatest warriors in history, not just on battlefields, but in life itself, discovered their true power only when they learned to stand completely alone? Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, wrote in his private journal, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Here was a man who ruled the Roman Empire, surrounded by thousands. Yet he understood that real strength comes from within, from the ability to face yourself without distraction, without someone else's opinion drowning out your inner voice. Think about it, every major breakthrough in your life happened when you stopped waiting for permission and started walking your own path. Every moment of genuine growth came when you faced your fears alone, when you chose courage over comfort, when you decided that your vision mattered more than their approval. The Stoic warrior doesn't walk alone because they hate people. They walk alone because they understand that true connection with others can only come after you've learned to connect with yourself. This isn't about becoming cold or disconnected. It's about becoming so deeply rooted in your own values, so clear about your purpose, that you can give from a place of abundance rather than need. When you master the art of walking alone, you don't become lonely, you become free. Free from the exhausting game of seeking validation. Free from the prison of others' expectations. Free to love and serve from your authentic self. The path of the Stoic warrior is not easy, but it's the only path that leads to genuine fulfillment. Today, we're going to explore 7 powerful principles that will transform how you see solitude, how you approach challenges, and how you build unshakable inner strength. If this resonates with you, hit that like button, drop a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Most importantly, don't skip any part of this video. Each principle builds on the last, and you'll need all 7 to truly understand the way of the Stoic warrior. The first principle of the Stoic warrior is learning to see solitude, not as punishment, but as sacred space. It's a transformative idea that turns solitude from something to be feared into something to be cherished. In our modern world, most people view solitude as a sentence, something to be avoided at all costs. Whether it's the pressure to stay connected on social media or the constant noise of daily life, we're conditioned to think that being alone is a problem that needs to be fixed. But what if I told you that the greatest insights and breakthroughs come in the very moments we allow ourselves to truly be alone? Most people fear being alone because they've never learned to enjoy their own company. They fill every quiet moment with texting, binge-watching shows, or chatting with friends, anything to avoid the discomfort of facing themselves. The idea of sitting quietly with our own thoughts often feels unbearable. It's as if we're afraid of what we might uncover when we no longer have external noise to drown out our inner dialogue. But here's the truth. In that discomfort, in that silence, lies your greatest treasure. Seneca, one of history's greatest Stoic philosophers, had a profound relationship with solitude. Instead of viewing forced solitude as suffering, he used it to develop the philosophical insights that would influence humanity for thousands of years. He wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." His isolation wasn't emptiness. It was the fertile ground where wisdom grew. In those quiet moments, Seneca found clarity and insight into the nature of life itself. For him, solitude wasn't a burden, it was a blessing. When you're alone, really alone, something magical happens. The noise of others' opinions fades away. The pressure to perform, to please, to pretend, all of that dissolves. What remains is the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are beneath all the masks you wear. This is terrifying for most people because they've built their entire identity around external validation. But for the Stoic warrior, this is liberation. Think about the last time you sat in complete silence with yourself for more than 10 minutes. No phone, no music, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. If that sounds unbearable, you're exactly where most people are, afraid of your own mind. But your mind is your most powerful tool, and like any tool, it needs maintenance, attention, and training. Sacred solitude is where you develop your moral compass. When there's no one around to impress, no one to judge, no one to perform for, that's when you discover what you really believe. what you really value, what you're really made of. It's in these quiet moments that you hear the whispers of your deepest wisdom, the guidance that gets drowned out by the chaos of constant connection. Have you ever noticed that the most profound ideas come when you least expect them? They arrive in those moments when you're not trying to force anything, when you're simply sitting in the quiet. That's the beauty of solitude. It's when you're truly alone that you become aware of your inner voice. For the Stoic Warrior, these moments aren't wasted time there. Opportunities to connect with something far greater than the external world can offer. The Stoic Warrior schedules sacred solitude like they would schedule training for a marathon. They protect it fiercely because they understand that everything else in their life, their relationships, their work, their impact on the world, flows from the clarity and strength they build in these quiet moments. Start small. Start with 5 minutes each morning. No agenda, no productivity goals. Just sitting with yourself, allowing your thoughts to come and go without judgment. As you become comfortable with your own company, extend the time. Take solo walks without podcasts or music. Eat meals in silence. Travel alone sometimes. You'll discover that solitude isn't empty. It's full of possibility. It's where ideas are born, where courage is cultivated, where you remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Think about it. The greatest warriors, thinkers, and leaders throughout history understood that to change the world, you must first change yourself. But that change doesn't happen in the noise. It happens in the stillness. It happens when you take the time to sit with your thoughts, to understand your fears, and to embrace the quiet moments where you discover your true essence. The Stoic Warrior knows that everyone else is fighting for external territory. But the real battle, the one that determines everything else, happens in the quiet moments when you're completely alone with your soul. That's when you discover your strength. When the world isn't telling you who you should be or what you should think, you have the power to decide for yourself. Sacred solitude doesn't just teach you about who you are. It also teaches you about who you want to become. In those moments of stillness, you get a glimpse of your highest potential, untainted by the opinions or expectations of others. It's in solitude that you can cultivate your deepest desires, your biggest dreams, and the courage to pursue them, regardless of what anyone else thinks. The beauty of solitude is that it's not a one-time experience, it's a lifelong practice. Every time you choose to spend time alone, you're honing your ability to be present with yourself, to embrace the stillness, and to develop the inner strength that will carry you through life's challenges. So, here's the challenge. Start embracing your own company. Start cultivating sacred solitude in your life. Whether it's 5 minutes in the morning, an hour in the evening, or a solo trip to recharge, make solitude a priority. Because when you learn to stand in the quiet, you will discover that you have the power to face any storm with a sense of peace and purpose that no external validation can provide. And remember, in the silence, you are not alone. You are simply connecting with the most powerful force within you, the real, unshakable you. This is where true strength is born, and this is the foundation of the Stoic Warrior's journey. The second principle that separates the Stoic Warrior from the crowd is this revolutionary mindset. What others think of you is completely outside your control and therefore completely irrelevant to your path. This principle goes against everything we've been taught. We've been conditioned to seek validation, to care deeply about what others think, and to shape our lives around others' expectations. Whether it's the opinions of family, friends, co-workers, or even strangers on social media, we often let their views dictate our choices. But what if I told you that you could break free from this cycle of external validation? What if I told you that the key to true freedom is realizing that their opinion simply doesn't matter? Most people spend their entire lives as prisoners to opinions that don't even belong to them. They make decisions based on what their parents might think, what their friends might say, or what strangers on social media might judge. We allow these external opinions to cloud our judgment, and before we know it, we've built an entire identity around the approval of others. But the Stoic Warrior knows the truth. What others think of you is none of your business. When you're constantly seeking approval from others, you lose touch with your own values, your own beliefs, and your own identity. You end up making decisions based on what they want, not what you want. And that leads to a life filled with dissatisfaction and frustration. You might achieve everything the world tells you to achieve, but if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, if you're doing it to gain the approval of others, it will never feel truly fulfilling. Eleanor Roosevelt, though not a Stoic philosopher, captured this truth perfectly when she said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." In those few words, she distills the essence of this principle. You don't have to let others' opinions shape how you feel about yourself. When someone criticizes you or disapproves of your choices, they're revealing something about themselves, not about you. Let's take this deeper. Epictetus, who went from slave to one of history's most influential teachers, taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about those events. What this means is that when someone criticizes you, insults you, or disapproves of your choices, they're not actually hurting you. They're simply revealing something about their own insecurities, fears, or limitations. The person who judges your life choices may be a friend, a family member, or even a stranger. They're likely projecting their own fears, doubts, and unmet desires onto you. Their opinion isn't about you at all. It's about their own limitations and disappointments. When you internalize these judgments, you are giving away your power. You are allowing them to control your emotions, your decisions, and your sense of self-worth. But the Stoic warrior knows better. They understand that you can never please everyone, and that's okay. You don't need their approval to walk your path. Consider this. The friend who criticizes your dreams, maybe they're afraid to pursue their own. The family member who questions your choices, maybe they're projecting their own unmet expectations onto you. The coworker who dismisses your vision, maybe they're uncomfortable with your boldness because they're not willing to take risks. These opinions are not a reflection of your worth. They're a reflection of their own internal struggles. The Stoic warrior develops what I call opinion immunity. This doesn't mean becoming arrogant or dismissive of genuine feedback. It means developing the wisdom to distinguish between constructive input from people who genuinely care about your growth and the background noise of those who are simply uncomfortable with your freedom. The Stoic warrior knows that seeking approval is a losing game. You could please 99 people, but that one person's disapproval will still haunt you. You could achieve everything society tells you to achieve, but there will always be someone ready to tear it down. The only opinion that truly matters is the one you have of yourself. Here's a challenge. Think about the last time someone's disapproval really bothered you. Now ask yourself, is this person living the life I want to live? Are they demonstrating the qualities I admire? Are they speaking from love and wisdom, or from their own fear and limitation? Most of the time, you'll realize that their opinion carries no weight, because it comes from a place you don't want to be, and that realization is liberating. What you must understand is that their judgment isn't about you at all. It's about them. The friend who criticizes your career choice, perhaps they are afraid of taking the leap themselves. The family member who questions your lifestyle, maybe they are projecting their own fears onto you. The colleague who doubts your dreams, maybe they feel threatened by your ambition. So, the next time you face judgment, remember this. Their opinion is about their own limitations, not yours. The Stoic warrior understands that your opinion of yourself is the only one that truly matters. This doesn't mean being blind to feedback or constructive criticism. It means filtering out the noise and staying true to your inner values. Oh, you are the one who lives your life, not them. You are the one who bears the consequences of your decisions, not them. To practice this principle, start with small steps. The next time you're about to make a decision based on what others might think, pause. Ask yourself, what would I do if no one was watching? What would I choose if I didn't care about other people's reactions? And then, do that. Take action in alignment with your own values, not based on the fear of disappointing others. Start small, or something you love that others might not understand. Share an idea that matters to you, even if it's unpopular. Take up a hobby that brings you joy, even if others might find it strange. Each time you choose authenticity over approval, you build the muscle of freedom. You strengthen your ability to stand tall, unwavering, in the face of external judgment. This principle isn't just about rejecting others' opinions. It's about learning to trust yourself. It's about understanding that you are the authority of your own life. When you realize that you have the power to define your own worth, your decisions will no longer be influenced by the fleeting opinions of others. The Stoic Warrior knows that living authentically means some people will be disappointed in your choices. They will disagree with your values, be upset by your boundaries, or even criticize you for not conforming. But the Stoic Warrior also knows that the ultimate life spent seeking the approval of others is a life of compromise and disappointment. When you try to please everyone, you end up losing yourself. The key is to practice what I call strategic disappointment. This is the conscious choice to let some people down in order to remain true to yourself. You cannot be everything to everyone, and that's okay. The people who truly love you will respect your authenticity, even if it means disappointing them. They will admire your courage to live according to your own principles, rather than following the crowd. Start practicing this courage today. The next time someone asks you to do something that doesn't align with your values, practice saying no. Do it kindly, but firmly. Notice how the world doesn't end when you disappoint someone. In fact, you might find that your relationships become more honest, more real, and more meaningful when people know where you truly stand. Remember, the Stoic Warrior's path isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about living in a way that pleases your true self. The more you practice choosing your own path over the need for others' approval, the more empowered and free you become. And ultimately, that's the kind of freedom that makes you unstoppable.